Joining me now to talk all things baseball, and we're talking about Major League Baseball's, particularly its RSN situation. The biggest thing going on in baseball is Eric Bacharach, SBJ's baseball writer. Eric, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Austin.
Eric, this has been a constant discussion over the last couple of years. It really got exacerbated during the 2023 season when MLB had to take over a couple of RSNs. But here we are, 2024. Give an overarching look. How do things look for MLB on the RSN side this season?
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit less up in the air, right? Just looking at 2024 as opposed to where we were heading into 23, Austin. We know kind of where teams stand, and it's really interesting just because this year you've got the league producing, distributing games for three teams: the Padres, the Rockies, the Diamondbacks. Last year, they were going into the year potentially anticipating taking over the broadcast for over a dozen teams. And this year, they know kind of who they're going to be overseeing. And it's a really sort of interesting time because, Rob Ranford has gone on record saying that he's looking at 25 for a potential national streaming package that would include his number is at least half of MLB's teams. And you could kind of do some math to see where those teams would be coming from. Obviously, you've got the three that I just mentioned, the Padres, Rockies, and Diamondbacks, who are already under MLB's purview. The Guardians, Twins, and Rangers, they've got one-year deals with Diamond. So after this year, they could fall back under MLB's purview. And then you've got a bunch of other teams, the Angels, the Braves, the Cardinals, and the Reds among them.
Sounds like a lot of teams that were under that Diamond Sports, those Bally Sports RSNs, you're back in the day, the FSNs of the world. Plus you had, TNT Sports, Warner Brothers Discovery getting out of that business last year. That created some uncertainty with teams. But it sounds like with this glut of inventory potentially, this could really change the face of what MLB.TV looks like. Is there another package to be had also out there?
Yeah, I think it could completely. I think that's what the league is looking to potentially do. Look with a potential distributing partner, sometime potentially next year. Again, Manfred is looking to get to about half the clubs, just in terms of having this package that rolls out. And I think the biggest question, Austin, is what this means even beyond 25, because I think in a perfect world you'd have MLB with this package that includes all 30 clubs. But then when you look at some of the other teams with more sort of established RSN situations, or at least stable, that are sort of on less tenuous ground, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Cubs, how are you going to sort of incentivize those teams to sort of come on board? And if you're looking to get a distributor, whether that's a Prime, an Apple, to sort of be motivated or compelled to come in with you on this type of package, those are the teams they're going to be asking about. Those are the teams that are going to sort of draw the most eyeballs. So if you don't have them included in this type of, national streaming product, that would be a challenge. And so that is the challenge beyond 25. But again, MLB kind of sees this as potentially the future, and they're looking next year as the earliest potential target date for, such a package.
And not only baseball having to deal with their own teams and those issues, but when you get into individual markets, you might have Major League Baseball teams wanting to pair up with NBA or an NHL team, because a lot of those teams are having similar carriage issues and distribution issues, just given the collapse of the RSNs with Diamond and everything. So I know there's a lot going on, just depending on what the market is. One last thing for you, Eric. How much of a discrepancy now is being created between these teams that are having RSN financial issues and the bigger teams, like you mentioned, some of the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox of the world that own their RSN? How much is that gap growing between those haves and have-nots?
Yeah, I think it's always been big, and now it's massive. I think it was the difference in, just the way the Dodgers were able to spend this year. They were kind of playing, for lack of a better phrase, a different sport when it came to just the way they were able to spend on payroll between Ohtani, Yamamoto for over 300 million. You had Tyler Glasnow. They were able to bring in all of those players just because of their cushy RSN situation with Sportsnet LA. And I think that divide is really only growing. And I spoke with a couple of agents over the offseason, Austin, and they told me point blank that they've heard from GMs, executives on the baseball operations side. I spoke with one agent who specifically said he was told by a high-ranking official that his team was instructed to spend not a dime in free agency, and that's kind of the just sort of reality of the situation we're in with so many teams dealing with uncertainty when it comes to their RSN situation, which for so long was sort of what they're leaning on, their crutch, and really facilitated a lot of their roster payroll spending. So without that, the discrepancy grows. I think the top and the bottom, the difference there becomes even more exaggerated. And so we'll see where things go from here. But I think it was, a really big storyline this offseason when you saw so many free agents that were projected to get, X amount of money and fall well short of that. It all goes back to the RSN situation.